On today's episode, we'll talk about cookies on set, what acting is, The Sixth Sense, The Postman, and of course, telling Kevin Costner you aren't interested in another audition. Just a little bit of business before we start. There may be a curse word here or there in this episode, so please listen responsibly. As always, our website, theop.io, is up and chock full of tips, tricks, and gooey operator goodness. Make sure to check out The Breakdown, where the best operators in the biz explain shots they have done, The Musings, where we discuss everything from quick tips to larger concepts of storytelling, the answers, the images, and so much more. I may or I may not take a break or two during this episode, but I promise that none of them will be longer than 22 seconds. Will you be in or around the Chicago area June 21st and June 22nd? If so, you've got to check out Filmscape Chicago. This year, they are hosting over 50 classes spanning all areas of production, from animation to IP law to cinematography and beyond. Plus, an exhibit floor of top manufacturers and rental houses showing the latest in gear and tech. And best of all, it's free. Register now and join in the fun at filmscapechicago.com/register. See you there. Finally, if you are enjoying the podcast, please follow us, write a review, share us with your parents, and talk us up around the water cooler with your friends. So grab a beverage, sit back, and enjoy the op. Thanks for listening.
Lock it up, nice and quiet, and let's roll.
Rolling. Victor 30 Echo, take 2.
Hey, Mark. Hey, Mark.
And camera set. And action.
Hello and welcome back to the Op Podcast, the podcast where we talk about operating and the art of visual storytelling. I am Dave Comides, your host, and I'm coming to you today from fabulous Inman Park in Atlanta, where I am here shooting a show. And my guest today, who I am very excited to have on, as I'm always excited, is not only a great actress, but a good friend, and we've worked together before, not enough, but and now we're working together again, and it's great because we get to hang out, and I convinced her to do this podcast. Incredible actress from across the pond, Olivia Williams. Olivia has done a couple of interesting things in her time on screen. Dune Prophecy, The Crown, The Father, Manhattan, which nobody has ever seen and everybody should, and we'll talk about. Dollhouse, The Sixth Sense, Rushmore, The Postman. She has 16 nominations and 5 wins, just a couple of them. 3 nominations for SAG Awards, The Crown, and An Education. 2003 winner for the British Independent Film Award for The Heart of Me. 2011 London Critics Circle Film Award for The Ghostwriter. It just goes on, and she is not only a great actress, but a great person and a really good friend. Thanks for being here.
This is such a pleasure, and it's great to hang out with you and do your podcast and to be filmed by you again.
You're the best. And we're done. So my first really big question, because you live in London, right?
Yes.
Is Ted Lasso, is that like what London's like?
Absolutely. It's
Fantastic.
all picturesque Richmond, pavements with pubs.
And everybody says hello to you when you
everybody
walk down the
says
street.
hello,
Oh,
yeah.
I'm so happy.
Do you know
That makes
what?
me really
Little
happy.
bits of London are like that.
Yeah.
Just like little bits of Paris are just like Emily in Paris.
So it's not all true.
No, but there is, I think, in any big city, something that I find very encouraging, as we're finding here in Atlanta. There are little pockets of community. There's a street and people fall out of their house at the same time every morning, and
Yeah.
you say hello and form a community. So I live right in the middle of London, but I have the people on my street are my village, and yeah, I've lived there all my life, and so it feels like a small village within a vast metropolis.
The reason I ask is because I have a couple of British friends who are so angry at Ted Lasso because they're just like, now everybody thinks all of England is like that. It just isn't. But anyway.
I quite like. I'm very happy living in denial and delusional
Aren't we all?
about how lovely it all is.
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Occasionally we have to get real.
So what's your story? How'd you get into acting?
So I was raised in a family. My parents are both lawyers, but they were barristers. So they're the type of lawyer that appears in court. In England, we and in the UK, we divide lawyers into 2 sorts, which is barristers who appear in court and solicitors who stay in the office. And it always entertains me a great deal. And I tape the message and play it to my sister, who is a solicitor, when in LAX it says it is not necessary to give money to solicitors, because a solicitor is a very different thing
That's pretty funny.
in LAX from what it is in London.
Wait, so did your parents wear the little like wig?
It's quite a big wig.
quite a big-
They were big wigs. My parents, they were both judges at one point, and they were what were then QCs, Queen's Counsel, but now we have a king. They had to change their title to King's Counsel. But my father's dead, and my mum is still alive, and she is Anna Worrell KC.
So you didn't grow up you didn't grow up in a movie family.
No, not at all. The reason I began down that road is there is a connection which is legendary between barristers and actors. I think that sort of performative quality of having to take on the story of a defendant, having to represent them in court, and also that thing of appealing to and winning an argument for a character. I think being a barrister
That's interesting.
and being an actor are not unrelated. And then there's just the sort of show off quality that there is in both. I wasn't, and I hope I've gained some, but I'm not the sort of introspective actor. My husband is a sort of introspective actor. He's not an extrovert. But
What do you mean by an introspective actor?
my husband's not an extrovert, so he doesn't. He wouldn't stand up at a party and play the piano, even though he's a brilliant pianist, or
Okay.
sing a song. That to him is a nightmare. If someone says, "Get up, Jean,"
Perform.
sing a song
Yeah.
for us. Whereas even though my singing voice is appalling and I can't really, I will sing and dance
not
for
gonna
you.
ask you to sing.
Yeah, without you asking me to.
got you.
I
Okay,
will
well, you
anyway. So I have that sort of slightly show off gene. So I basically, my parents loved theatre and ballet and music, and they took me to go and see a Comedy of Errors, which is a very, very funny Shakespeare play. I know people don't believe such a thing is possible, but it was at the Swan Theatre in Stratford-on-Avon, and Judi Dench was in it. It was a legendary production, and I worked it out with Judi Dench. I must have been about 6 or 7.
Oh my gosh.
And everything she did, the audience fell about laughing. They were literally kind of holding their intestines in
That's
because they
so
were laughing
great.
so much. And I didn't want to laugh and be in the audience. I wanted to climb over the audience and get on stage with the actors. And
Wait,
be there.
and so, well, you were 6, so even if Judi
Yeah.
Dench was a big name, you wouldn't have known. But was she a big name back then?
Yeah, she
Okay.
but of the stage when
Of the
it
stage,
mattered.
yeah. Sure.
And she's one of these
That's
people.
so cool.
Yeah, who just was already a sort of legend. But
So did you have like a light bulb moment where you
well, it was constant. I actually wanted to be a ballet dancer, and my father loved the ballet. He was a very extraordinary man. He was a feminist, and his wife had a job equal to his, and he encouraged his daughters to do. I have an older sister, to do what they loved. And he used to drive me and my sister to ballet class. So he wasn't a dance mom, he was a dance dad.
that's
And
great.
he tied our ballet shoes. I think he tied them up a bit like you tie up rugby boots. Like our feet used to go blue because our ballet laces were ballet ribbons were so tightly tied. So I had that performative thing where
Yeah.
I wanted to be on stage, and I loved the fantasy of it. I think I loved quite recently, not a long time ago, I went to go and see a play called Uncle Vanya, a Chekhov play.
Sure.
And there's this beautiful moment in Uncle Vanya where Vanya comes in and he stumbles upon Yelena, the woman he loves, snogging Astrov, the doctor. And he's brought her a bunch of flowers, and they have to be sort of late summer roses that are sort of overbloomed. And it was such a beautiful moment on stage, and I went round afterwards to see the people I knew in the play, and there on the props table were these really quite grubby plastic flowers, and that at the same time thrilled me and broke my heart. I love it that
Because
they're
the curtain
shitty,
had
crappy.
been pulled back, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. I love going backstage and seeing that the dressing rooms are dirty and Yelena's tired and has got, a drink problem, and it's all thrilling that is. But also, it broke my heart that those beautiful, on stage, they look like the most beautiful bunch of late summer roses you've ever seen. And then they were some stanky old plastic flowers. So
that's great.
That's what I love about it. And that's what took me towards it. But it was a late call as a career. I was very skeptical and constantly telling myself that it was a stupid way to earn a living, that you couldn't earn a living, that you would never get a job, that it wasn't real. And so I did a degree at university and was going to go and do a law conversion course to do what my parents did, not as a kind of negative choice, because they loved their job and they were really good at it. So I would have loved to have been a barrister, but I never quite sent off the application to law school, and the one stamp I had went on the application to drama school.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, so you did put your money down and try to get in, and so
I did.
And is this like the national school or something?
It's a school called the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School. You and I are both political people. Just to get political for a moment, the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School has just had to financially close its course for undergraduate level people, and so only people who can pay can go and do it after they've graduated. So there's another end to access to the arts for people who don't come from the middle classes like me. So that's very sad. But anyway, it was an extraordinary school.
But this is college, what we would call college.
So I had done a 3-year degree, much to my parents they were slightly drumming their fingers on the table at this point. I did 3 years at university and then 2 years at drama school. So
but 3 years means like you finished university? Is it a 3 year?
I finished 3
years. The full cycle.
I graduated with a Bachelor of Arts degree in English from Cambridge University, and then announced that I wanted to do a further 2 years study at drama school.
Okay.
But they were very, very supportive and nice about it.
That's great.
Which is how I come to be an actor, and why we need to support people who don't have indulgent lawyers as parents to become actors.
Yes, I agree. And all sorts of arts. So you did 2 years acting school, but you'd never done anything like that before, right? I mean, this is the first. Like, had you been in plays and stuff like that up till then?
Yeah, I mean, I was always trying to be in school plays. I wasn't a cool kid. I was an odd child.
I think you probably were a cool kid. You just didn't.
I wasn't. I always preferred adults to people my own age. I completely grew into myself in my 40s and 50s.
Okay.
Without question, the happiest years of my life, because I was finally the age I was sort of
You've been all your life?
Yeah, I'd always gone. I always would end up, if I did get invited round to someone's house, I'd end up talking to their parents in the kitchen. I was a very odd child, but I didn't run with the cool crowd in acting terms, either at school or at university, but I did act all the time. Someone, either the drama teacher or someone who didn't know how odd I was, took pity on me or cast me in their play. So I did some amazing, wonderful. I was in Oh What a Lovely War, which is an amazing theatrical piece about the First World War that was a sort of devised piece in the 50s, and that was at school. And then I did I love Shakespeare. I can bore on about it for years. So I did Shakespeare at university, and then I went to the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School. But yeah, I didn't know professionally, as in terms of anything other than amateur, I didn't know my arse from my elbow when I got to drama school. I didn't know it was called a show. I didn't know what the half was. I didn't know, what time do we go up? I was like, go up where? And that's a technical term for what time does the play begin. So yeah,
But are you alone in that, or are most people coming into that not knowing this? I don't know, like, what
drama school, and there's this again amazing organisation which still is quite good access, called the National Youth Theatre in Britain, and there are lots and lots of youth theatres around the country, and most people had professionalism.
So
than
they had
I did.
more than you had going into it. And so what do you just sort of like fake it till you make it? I mean, you kind of like BS your way through it.
Yeah, totally. And the words were said. I went to this very fancy university, and there was and is still and should be a sort of anti-intellectual feeling in the theatre and in acting, because if you come in with too critical... I was taught for 3 years at university how to critique writing. Sure. That is what you do.
Yeah.
And as soon as you become an actor, your job is not to critique the writing, but to whatever is written on the page. This is where the barrister thing comes in.
Yeah.
You have to advocate for that character.
Oh, that's really interesting.
And I still do, and there will be some people who might listen to this podcast who've had experiences of me once I get going critiquing a script. It can be a pain in the arse.
There's a lot of times on set where I'm like, no one's thinking, I wonder what Olivia thinks. In a good way.
Yeah, I'm not, for an actor, I'm very bad at hiding when I think something isn't well written.
So was that just overwhelming being in acting school all of a sudden?
Yeah, it was that thing where you were led to believe that you were going to be molded, and they were going to break you down and build you back up. And,
oh, really? Wow.
And I've thought, this is having no effect on me. I came out of university arrogant, there's no question, and actually it was molding me, but just I didn't know it was, and not in the ways I thought. But Bristol Old Vic wasn't. There are very different schools of acting, and we were discussing that the other day. An acting coach who was encouraging an actor to use pain and tragedy and appalling things that had happened in their own life to create an emotion when they're acting. That was not how I was trained. And at the time, there was a type of car called a Ford Sierra, and the Bristol Old Vic Theatre School was described. They produced the sort of Ford Sierra actors who were like, learn your lines and don't bump into the furniture was the kind of
all right.
The music teacher who did one of our fake auditions, her note was to one of my friends that he hadn't polished his shoes. So it was very much the old style.
That's great,
of acting.
I love that.
There was one lovely man, and we did a week of camera technique, a whole week out of 2 years.
Yeah, out of 2 years, I was going to say.
Yeah, of how to act on film. So I was released into the business a completely theatrical person.
So that was my question. So this was mostly like for being on stage?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Iambic pentameters, how to be heard from the back of the gods, which is the highest seats in the theatre, called the gods. And, literally say your lines and don't bump into the furniture, which is more difficult than you might think.
Look, the bumping into the furniture, I could handle. The saying the lines I couldn't. So I can completely understand that. So you got out of there. I mean, look, did you think I'm going to be on the stage, or did you think I'm going to be on TV or in movies? Or was there a plan?
My ignorance of film and camera work was astounding. And I wanted to be an actor and do Shakespeare.
Okay.
That was what I set out to do.
Yeah.
Not knowing what would happen to me.
Yeah, obviously.
So I set off I did a tiny little TV show that shot in Amsterdam. I couldn't believe it. I was flown out to Amsterdam and was in this beautiful hotel, and this great actor who was playing my dad, he set a beautiful tone actually for the whole of my career. Though he called my hotel room and said, "Tomorrow I'm playing your dad, and we have to look like we've known each other for all our lives. So a few of us are going out for dinner. Would you like to join us?" And that literally, I thought, that is how I am going to be.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
And you're what, 22?
Yeah, 24.
24?
By that stage.
Okay.
But, first job out of the gate. And he was called James Lawrenson, great stage actor, also worked on film. And I worked with his son, who was a producer many years later, and told him this story. And, he'd died by that stage. And, it was a really moving
That's wonderful.
thing. And I didn't know at the time that other people didn't do that.
Yeah.
But I took that on with me.
But that's the new normal for you, right? And
Yeah.
actually that tells me so much, that explains a lot about things that I've seen you do, over the years and heard about. How wonderful. And how amazing is it that it always blows my mind how people look at something like you just did and go back to that and it set the stage, no pun intended, it set the stage.
Yeah.
And if it hadn't happened, you could have just gone off on imagine if that person had been horrible.
Yeah. And
that was your first.
And I have
experience.
come across horrible people later, but I have in my back pocket it doesn't have to be
This is
like
the
that.
right way to do it.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
So, we all tried to pass these things forward on.
So that was a TV show or was it a movie? Or?
It was a TV show called Van der Valk. It was revived. It was a bizarre. I don't know how it came to be. For some reason, it was a cop show set in Amsterdam for no good reason other than you got to run around
Amsterdam.
beautiful Amsterdam.
That's fantastic.
And I don't know, all the crew could legally get stoned. I don't know why we're there, but it was beautiful and fun. And James Lawrenson was really nice to me. And it was my first job. And I went straight from that to the Palace Theatre, Westcliff-on-Sea, which is an obscure little theatre, which was one of the last theatres to be doing repertory, which means you would do a play for 2 weeks while you rehearsed the next play, and then you would do it for 2 weeks.
I can't even imagine this.
And I did a season of that. I did A View from the Bridge, and I did Lettuce and Lovage, which was a sort of stalwart of repertory theatre, and a pantomime. And,
Wow.
but it really started at the bottom. And it wasn't going well for me, the acting thing. I was not getting flash work. I wasn't, the people I graduate, and Minnie Driver was in my generation. She sort of fast tracked straight to, working with Jack Nicholson. And,
Sure.
And I was like in the slow lane watching these people
So, I mean, when you got that, what was the TV show called?
I can't even bear to say it. Van der Valk. It's
Van der
there on
Valk.
IMDb for anybody who wants to see.
We're going to look it up. But that was a season, or that was
That was one show.
Oh,
that was one episode.
Oh, one episode.
Yeah,
I see. Okay.
Someone died every week.
I got you. Okay, so it was
Yeah.
one episode. So it
Yeah.
wasn't like you came out that and you're like, I get how to act on TV. Or
No,
whatever.
not
It
at
was-
all. I was, as I said, my confidence was astonishing, considering I had nothing to base it on at all.
Yeah.
But there was some beautiful legendary BBC adaptations. There was one of Middlemarch, I didn't even get to audition for it, and I was like, what? It's not happening for me.
Yeah.
I went on a tour of this. The first time I came to the States professionally, I was understudying Anastasia Hilly in Richard III. Ian McKellen was Richard III. Wow. So I went around the whole of America on this beautiful theatre tour, but didn't say a word on stage.
You never got on stage. Oh my gosh.
The lead guy, I was on stage as a non-speaking. I was a nurse, a maid, and a whore, who were the three silent women of history. I didn't speak. I had to serve the soup to Ian. And I understudied Anastasia, who's an astonishing actress still to this day, and we're still friends. But I saw America, and I saw all the theatres.
That's pretty cool,
on
though.
the way. It was extraordinary.
Yeah.
And came to LA to the Royce Hall, and as a stage actor, and didn't know how much time I'd be spending there in my future.
Yeah. So I mean, you obviously got recognized at some point.
So I was in a very early Pride and all the Jane Austens are done every few years. I was in the Virgin. Kate Beckinsale was Emma. I was a minor character. Mark Strong, who I've just worked with again, was Mr. Knightley. That was my biggest thing. And then I had the most bizarre experience of, I was asked to go on tape, the very early days of self-tapes.
Yeah, this wasn't a thing back then, like it is now anyway.
It was on VHS.
Yeah.
I had to go to an office in Soho in London, which is the centre of the sort of film industry and TV industry. And I paid them £15, which was a lot of money, to make a VHS tape of an audition for a movie starring Kevin Costner.
But how did they find you, or did you find them?
He was desperate.
Yeah.
I learnt subsequently
After
that
the fact,
he'd been, I became very good friends with his lovely assistant, Patty, who's still a friend. And she said literally they were looking in magazines at sort of bra models, and but what they wanted was a frontierswoman, basically, was a sort of tough.
Yeah.
And at the time in the late 90s, finding someone without a fake tan, without a boob job, without teeth that were the colour of sort of nuclear material, and me with my terrible English toenails and unplucked eyebrows and gravestone teeth was perfect casting. I think they just went through the filing cabinet.
Wow.
And they got to W at the back.
That's amazing.
It really was. This was after Dances with Wolves, after Waterworld.
Yep. This was going to be his big resurrection, I think.
This was the big comeback.
Yeah.
And it was astonishing. I went from that video. Kevin, then my agent rang and said, Kevin Costner wants to speak to you on the phone. We go back to my arrogance. I was like, okay, tell him I can talk in a couple of hours.
I love it.
For no reason. No reason.
So
I
great.
just went to walk around the park for a couple of hours. I didn't have anything to do. I don't know why I said that, but And then on the phone, and Kevin, I'm sure will tell this story the same way. He said, we'd like you to tape again. And I said, I don't really see the point of going on tape again.
Oh my gosh, this is great.
I said, you're not here. I did the best I could do.
I've already done what you asked.
And it's like, I'm just going to do it again. And whatever I did that you liked the first time, I'm not going to do it again because I'm going to be nervous.
And this may be a stupid question, but meaning do the same scenes again? Or you didn't even get that far?
He just wanted to do another video. And I was like, that cost me 15 quid.
Send me 15 quid.
And I'm going to go and buy another outfit for 30 quid. And it's like, and to get to the place in Soho, that's a taxi ride because I cycle everywhere. But if you're going to an audition, you have to get a taxi. So you look good when you get there.
What was his response?
He was very silent.
Sure.
And he went, okay. And he's okay. And we ended the conversation. And my agent goes, what did he say? What did he say? And he said, he asked me to go on tape again. And I said, I didn't think there was any point. And you could sort of hear the sound of hair being sort of torn out.
Oh my gosh.
And then they said, they're going to fly you out tomorrow. And it was like the last days of the Roman Empire Hollywood in those days. So I'd never flown first class. And I flew out and I went to stay in this beautiful hotel, the Nikkei. I don't think it's open anymore. But anyway, it was on, in Beverly Hills. And Kevin offered to meet me at the airport. I was like, no, that's a nightmare. You get off an airplane and, you've got conjunctivitis from playing Super Mario for 11 hours. And I was like, no, don't meet me at the airport. Anyway, he met me at the hotel and we had dinner. And I knew I'd seen No Way Out. And I thought that was a very good film.
It's a great film, yeah.
And I had no idea I didn't really know what a movie producer was. But I knew that he was acting in and directing. So I had no idea how powerful he was.
Oh, he directed that as well?
He directed, produced, and starred
Okay.
in The Postman.
Yeah, that would make sense because it was after.
And so
Kansas.
after dinner, I did have a friend from when I toured in theatre
Yeah.
who lives in LA, and she's still my friend. And after dinner, I said, "Look, it's my friend's birthday. Could you drop me at her house on the way?"
Oh my
No real idea of the geography of LA, whether my
and there's
friend's
that.
house
That's
was
another
anywhere
issue,
near.
yeah.
But actually, he lived in this. I shouldn't reveal his address, but anyway, he lived
Nearby,
not far from
yeah.
my friend, and between this hotel and his house was my friend's house, and so he dropped me off at my friend's house. And the next day, he was like, "You're auditioning for the producers at Warner Brothers tomorrow."
Wow.
So that was why we had to. And then I did these scenes I'd never been on a movie lot before, and this weird thing of little sort of cottages.
Yep.
And his one, all this stuff that came out in satirical films subsequently was sort of dressed in a sort of cowboy style, sort of Dances with Wolves house on the lot.
gosh.
And there was 3 of the Warner Brother Postman producers, and I did these little scenes with Kevin in the office, sort of bumping into the furniture, like we said.
Oh my gosh.
And
But are you like overwhelmed, or are you taking this in stride, or
I'm jet lagged. I mean, someone else has said this recently. The brilliant satirist Armando Iannucci said the other day on a podcast that he thought the reason all Brits agree to absurdly crap movie deals is because we're also jet lagged.
Jet lagged.
We don't realise what we're
That's great.
signing. And yeah, I was literally. I don't know if you've ever been on board ship for a few days, and when you get off the
And
boat, you're still going up
your
and down.
equilibrium is still
I was
messed up.
literally
Oh,
that.
okay,
I was
so you're
like
just hanging on,
stupid.
basically. Yeah, not hitting the furniture.
And then I went back to my friend's house, because the hotel was annoying, and they said, "We need to fly you out to the set," which was they were shooting in Bend, Oregon at that point.
So the movie was already shooting?
And they
Oh
didn't
my
have a
gosh.
leading lady. That's why I got the fucking job. That's why I got it. Because first of all, I was available. Second of all, I was prepared to work for the price of a cup of tea.
Yeah.
And, He
Wow.
said, and I was absolutely right about that video. It wasn't my acting, that first video.
Yeah.
It was at the end of the audition. I thought the whole thing was so absurd that I handed the script to the receptionist who'd played Kevin Costner in the scene,
Oh, okay.
in the Soho auditioning
yeah.
place, and I just laughed and handed her the script. And he said it was that smile at the end of the video that got me the job.
Wow.
So it was good I didn't do a second.
That's great.
And the second thing is that the character I was playing was extremely bloody-minded. So the whole "I'm not auditioning
You
for
fit
you
it,
again,"
yeah.
it was like,
Yeah.
she doesn't even need to pretend.
Wow.
The only thing I needed to nail was the accent, which was a whole other.
Yeah. So at any point in this, I mean, like, when did it hit you that you were? I mean, because how big? It was a huge movie, right?
It was huge. It was
I mean,
millions.
is it like
I would
hundreds of
say,
millions, or
yeah, I think
back
it
then
came in
anyway,
at
yeah.
197 million,
I mean,
which isn't that much now. But
no, back then it was a massive movie.
This is 1997.
Yeah. So, but like that's what I'm saying is, like, when did it hit you that this was like what it was?
So things got very surreal because I'd entered the country as a
there's
visitor.
that whole thing. That's right. Yeah.
I'm flown to Bend, Oregon. They put half a head of. I've always had short hair. They put half a head of hair extensions in, and then realised I couldn't work because I had the wrong visa.
Oh.
But instead of flying, you have to leave the United States of America and re-enter with your visa. So they flew me to Vancouver
So you can get out of the country and come back
and
in.
left me there in a hotel. I haven't gone home yet from the.
Well, that's the other thing is,
tomorrow.
like, you don't have like your clothes, and I mean, you haven't packed for 3 months of a movie.
Madness. So I'm sitting and
Just crazy.
because this is Canada, which is closely related to the United Kingdom, we celebrate Easter, and everything closes over Easter.
Okay.
Which it doesn't in the United States of
Yeah.
America. And so the American embassy in Vancouver.
Oh, there's no
was
business
closed.
that's going to happen. Yeah, yeah.
And so and
You're
they
stranded.
were applying from a standing start for an O1.
Oh my gosh.
And, they were trying to gather people to advocate that I was this actress, the only person
who could do
on
this,
earth who could play this role.
Yeah.
I was like, there's no one to ask, except the people on Van der Valk.
And the lady you handed the script to in the office in Soho.
Anyway, so they managed, I don't know how they did it. Thank you, Warner Brothers, to get me, I think, a 10-year O1. I mean, just
oh my gosh.
extraordinary.
Wow.
You can only do it. It has to be applicable to a job, but it was huge. It was just way bigger than I needed. So this was where the sort of, the stardust was sprinkled. Sure. But there were about day 3 in the hotel where they said, you're in the hands of the lawyers, God bless them. I love lawyers because my parents are lawyers, but American lawyers are a whole other ballgame. Yes. And they were like, you can't leave the hotel in case the embassy calls. Oh. And I was like, they're not going to call. It's it's Easter Monday. Yeah. Christ is risen. There's nobody's going to be calling me. But they were like, you can't leave the hotel. So it was just like I had been there. That scene in The Life of Brian where the Martians come down and take Jesus off off on a tour of space and then comes back. It was a bit, I'd been kidnapped. That when I think of that week in Vancouver, it's like that.
And I mean, were you thinking this is going to work out and I'm going to be in this movie, or were you just thinking, well, I'll enjoy this and then I'll go back to England?
I just didn't know what to think. I was still amazed that everything was paid for. Like when you're in theatre, you pay for your bus fare, you pay for your own food. I was just amazed that you didn't have to go and get your own food. Like it was room service.
You call room service, and I don't have to pay for it.
I still think, you've seen me on set. I still fill my pockets with the free cookies because I think they might be gone tomorrow.
Olivia has a very large bag that she carries with her on set that always has stuff in it.
There's free food in it. Yeah.
So you eventually, obviously, you got on this huge set.
I got on this,
and I mean, you've a set. It sounds like other than one day on this, or one episode of this other thing, which is a couple of days, you've never been on a set. Really,
I did.
Right?
I'd done the Emma, so I'd seen how filming works.
Okay.
But we got on set and there was like 200 horsemen.
That's what I mean. It's like this is not
just.
This isn't two people in an office.
It was extraordinary. They, and it was a post-apocalyptic story. So they created a world of people living on the land, and I was in with this extraordinary man, John, can't remember his name. His beautiful costumes being knitted for me out of, yarn that had been plucked from the back of a sort of Kashmiri goat. Just beautiful workmanship, craftsmanship, people at the top of their game everywhere. And I went in with that stupid British sort of apologetic thing of not being able to ever compliment yourself or be seen to compliment yourself. And this poor man had spent a week putting in individual strands of hair, sticking them to my hair. Good Lord. I had this beautiful makeup artist and this beautiful costume. And I can remember them in front of the mirror going, how do you think you look? And I'd said that stupid British thing was like, oh, I can't look at my,
Oh, as opposed to,
And I realised then it's like, when you do that, you are insulting.
You're insulting those people. It's not about you. It's about them. Yeah.
And so I learnt to say, my hair is beautiful. The makeup you've done is fantastic. Yeah. Thank you so much. That's interesting. I love my costume. This lighting is lovely. Mm-hmm. What a great shot.
Yeah.
And that it was a process of learning, unlike stage where you are in control of the performance. A lot of the time in acting, you are a surface off which light bounces. And you are a clothes horse, or, you are a surface upon which a makeup artist paints.
Yeah.
And that was one of the infinite lessons I learned on the Postman. And to this day, if I ever get the chance at an award ceremony to thank him, Kevin taught me how to act on film. We'd act the scene and then he would take me by the hand round to the monitor and we'd watch it back.
Really?
And he would say, that was a lovely reaction you did there, but you didn't do it towards the camera.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, because I acted towards the largest group of people. As a stage actor, you find a group of people, and the largest group of people are not necessarily where the lens is. So he was like, now do that, but towards the lens.
But how lucky you were that he was also the director, because as opposed to like the other actor going, well, I mean, she's not even looking at me. I don't know what's going on.
And a kind man and a teacher.
That's fantastic.
There are many Kevin Costners, there are many Olivia Williamses, and many Dave
Comedies. Yeah.
But the Kevin Costner I worked with
that's so great.
me how to act on.
So, but he clearly recognized that you were where you were in your career, and he saw something in you, obviously, that was worth.
Absolutely. I don't know what it was. I think it was the smile as I handed the script back to the.
Well, also, like you said, he was at W, so there wasn't really anybody.
There was nowhere else to go.
Thank God your last name wasn't A something.
Yeah, exactly. But also, I remember, because I was quite an argumentative stage actor in the Arrogance.
I can't imagine that. I'm just going to say.
But I do remember on the flight over thinking, I'm so out of my depth. I am going to do what I'm told, possibly for the first time in my life.
Oh, wow.
And when they say, do it like that and do it like that, I'm going to do what they tell me.
Oh, so you had like a cognizant,
I absolutely
this is the only way I'm going to make it. I'm too far into this.
Yeah, there's no point in arguing because I don't know.
It also sort of sounds like the way it happened, you didn't really have, except for the week in Vancouver, like you didn't really have time to process. It was just sort of happening around you almost.
It was, and
that's a blessing.
Literally, Kevin made a cassette tape of all my lines, which is how I learnt the accent.
You mean him reading it?
He read all my lines.
What was
famously,
like a Midwestern?
One of them, I mean, I just thought I would do it like
Frontier,
Kevin, and then he'll be pleased.
Yeah.
But he had to say I'm pregnant several times. I had to say it, and I have somewhere the cassette tape of Kevin Costner saying I'm pregnant.
Oh, I'm going to get that from you and put on the
But that's how kind he was. I mean, he was directing, producing and starring in a movie, and he put all the leading ladies' lines onto tape.
That's amazing.
He's very
Actually, that's really incredible. Were you just trying? I mean, were you just trying to mimic him?
You know what? I haven't watched it back about.
Maybe.
I think I'm not. I might ask the listeners not to go back and critique it. It might be terrible.
It was your first
remember.
one. We'll give you that.
Well, I've been lucky with a lot of times I'm doing an accent. There can be some twist on it whereby I'm some sort of strangely English person turning up in the slight future of the Wild West.
So was that like what, 3 months, 2 months? I mean, it must have been.
I remember it being a 110-day shoot.
Oh my gosh! Wow. So by the time you get through that, I mean, that's like acting for film school.
Yeah, and I was I was a different person at the end of it, and made great friends. The amazing woman who was my stand-in, and also carried cable for video assist, which was a whole new thing.
Oh gosh.
Anyway, she was absolutely hopeless double. She's about a foot shorter than me, completely different colouring. But she's my dear friend to this day, Amy Weinstein. She's coming to visit me here in Atlanta.
Wonderful.
Now you need the Amy Weinstein stand-in eye view of Olivia Williams as an actor.
No relation.
No relation to Harvey.
Yeah.
Well put. So wait, you met on the Postman.
Yes.
And you were her stand-in.
I was her stand-in I'm about a foot shorter.
Yeah.
But
colouring was similar.
Similar. I had an apple box. And Olivia was just learning. It was her first movie, and she was learning the set. And a lot of times I was also doing video assist. And so I'm wrangling cable that's like under like pounds of horse shit.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because we're in the field and stuff like that. And so sometimes it took me longer. And so I'm like, Olivia, come here. Can you stand in for me? And she was always on the set.
I love this.
I'm like, I gotta go to the bathroom. Can you stand in for me?
She literally told me this.
I would go and stand in for my stand-in, and then I'd see she was over at craft service of waving,
smoking cigarettes, drinking beer. No, but it was great. It was great getting to know her.
And I remember one day you saying it was really hot, and you're like, I'm really hot. I don't want to stand.
I don't want to stand in it anymore.
Stand here.
And you probably just went, oh sure, and walked in there. Yeah, of course.
Or when I had to get on a horse.
Yeah.
and it's like the little Jewish girl on the horse. And it's like, we're like on a horse on the dam. Where you're just, and you know, she's like doing her own stunts and jumping on horses and off of horses. And I'm like, can you get down? Olivia?
I did stand in for myself or sit in for myself on the
But you still do that, actually.
Yeah.
Which is that just self, like, I'd rather them light me than light someone else?
I want to know what you're doing.
You want to know what we're doing? It's nosiness.
Keeping an eye on commodities.
I don't believe me. And I'm perfectly happy that. So here's my question for Amy. I know her now. She's been in a lot of movies. You met her when she had just gotten her first big movie. Was she the same way then, or was she? Because I have this image, sort of this thought that maybe Olivia showed up and was just like, oh, where do I stand? But I can't imagine that.
No, she came in with a lot of. She was instantly loved by everybody.
I can imagine.
And I think that being her stand-in was like, I think Kevin also secretly put me with her to become your friend or just kind of hang out with you and
like make her feel welcome and
ease her in a little bit,
knowing
too.
that you were a fish out of water, sort of.
Yeah, but it was fun. And Olivia is still the same person. She back to cars. When she came in to do some press, I picked her up in my '82 Honda Civic. No air conditioning.
Awesome.
I think tiger striped seat covers.
Oh, I love this. What color was the car?
It was like a Band-Aid beige.
Nice. I remember this car. I think my dad may have had one of these, actually.
And so I'm driving her around, and then we drive by. We're on, I think, the Warner Brothers lot, and we see Andy McDowell in this beautiful BMW convertible driven by Olivia's agent's assistant.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, there's a little difference. And she's like, no, I'm happy in your car.
And I'm sure she was.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She goes, this feels like home. I like this car.
That's
But
great.
I do remember you teaching me about hitting marks and...
Oh, is that right?
Oh, right. Completely. Like the camera's over there and you do this and then walk to here. And you totally taught me what to do. I think we may have mentioned again previously in this interview that on the aeroplane on the way over, I thought to myself, I'm going to do what I'm told.
You
because
did.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Yep.
And
Amy was the person who told you.
She taught me. Yeah.
That's amazing.
You need to direct this performance over there because that's where the camera is.
And there were some tough days on that set.
The other massive thing you taught me, which was, again, I love a freebie, and I could not get over the free food craft service. There were freshly made chocolate chip cookies every day.
I can totally see your face.
Every day. And Amy one day caught me actually sliding an entire tray of cookies into my set bag. And she very delicately started putting the cookies back on the table. And she said very quietly, very sweetly, Olivia, the cookies will be here tomorrow. And it never occurred to me that there might be more cookies tomorrow.
Meanwhile, people are in shock watching the lead actress.
I was like
food.
a squirrel, laying down the cookies for winter. And I did that significantly put on weight during that film.
We all did. And it was like eating a stick of butter a day.
Exactly. And there was one of those famous shots, which I know I'm not the first one to tell this gag, but literally I sort of approached a doorway very skinny. And by the time I come through the door, I was 20 pounds heavier by the end of the shoot. If something wasn't shot chronologically, there were a couple of takes where my cheeks are fat, like a guinea pig who's still got the cookies in the cheeks. I mean, it really. Anyway, you
and
did.
And the cookies will be there tomorrow.
And were they? Did she lie?
They were. And well, I have to say, this has become a saying in my life that is wonderfully true, which is, the cookies will be hit.
But they must have all loved you because you don't have the airs about you about all the garbage that we
had an amazing time.
That's great.
Kay Colvin was carrying cable for sound, and her sister Sean Colvin released a single.
Oh wow, yeah.
While we were there.
Oh my gosh.
And there was there were just this crowd, this amazing bunch of women. Donna Bloom, who's still a producer. She was second unit production manager. She and I became mates. I basically, in the Bend, Oregon, there's one more funny story. We could talk all night about Postman stories, but we're in Bend, Oregon, and I'm waiting to shoot, and they don't need me, but they don't want to let me go. I'm in a motel. They won't give me a car because I'm English and they think I'm going to crash it and drive on the
That's
side of
probably
the
a
road.
good call.
And so I have nobody to talk to. I've got all this other person's hair stuck to my head.
Jeez, I forgot that.
And I'm just waiting to work. And eventually I'm talking to the transpo department and saying, could I have a car? Because I haven't left
Like
this
to
building.
go somewhere?
Yeah, exactly. And everywhere, we were at this motel, so everywhere was 20 miles away.
Yeah, of course.
And he said no. So I said, where are you? And he said, I'm in the production office. And I said, where's that? And he said, that's like 2 floors below where you are. So I went down into the production office and I said, I don't care what you're doing tonight, but I'm coming with you. And this was transportation, the accountants, it was whoever's in the production.
Yeah.
And so that was where my friend, and it turned out the editors were British.
Okay.
And I stayed friends with them for years. But yeah, I found the editors, who were 2 spotty guys in a darkened room working on film still.
Oh, wow. Yeah, sure.
And so I hung out with them. And so I didn't meet any actors. This idea that actors only ever hang out. I didn't meet any actors for months. And so I made very good friends with everyone in the crew.
That's great.
And that's really set me up.
That's fantastic. That also tells me, it explains a lot about how you are on set and hanging out with the crew and how wonderful you are with the crew. So when you finished that, did you just think like, I'm set, this is easy street from here? Like everyone's going to be knocking? Or?
It was just very surreal. Lots of weird things were happening in my personal life. The day I got the job, my then boyfriend proposed to me. So,
Jeez.
And then as I was going to get back and get married, and that didn't happen. And so I got on a plane and went back to LA. I'm a great believer in running away from your problems. And I sat in LA and I was sitting at my friend's house, the one whose house Kevin drove me to, reading scripts, and one of those scripts was Rushmore.
Wow.
So it was in that golden period when you've made a massive Hollywood movie, but it hasn't come out yet.
Okay, gotcha. So people have heard your names, but they're not really sure whether you can deliver or...
unknown who walked in and number 2 on the call sheet of...
everybody's going to be talking about that, right? Okay, yeah.
And I booked Rushmore in that golden golden time.
Yeah.
So went pretty straight from Postman to Rushmore. And then a genius producer called Barry Mendel, who produced Rushmore, also worked with M. Night Shyamalan. M. Night Shyamalan was looking for a woman who was unknown to play young wife for Brucey. And Barry called me up. I was in this same lovely woman's house where I always stay in LA. And Barry said, can you be in Santa Monica in 20 minutes? And I got in a car and went and met M. Night. And again, I think they got to the W's in the filing cabinet.
I don't think
but
so.
Anyway, I booked that job. So I literally went...
That's incredible.
Postman,
so wait,
Rushmore,
those
Sixth
are your
Sense.
first 3 films?
First 3 Hollywood movies.
Sorry. Hey there, podcast listeners. A quick note before we continue. The next 10 minutes or so involve a story about sexual assault and may be triggering for some listeners. While we at the Op hope that things like this never happen again, we are also realistic and want to remind everyone that most call sheets have anonymous HR hotlines, and the guilds and unions are good resources for reporting wrongdoing. Another good option that anybody can take on is to look into free bystander intervention training to know what to do when you see something going on. And that can be found at right2b.org. We'll also carry that link in the notes for this podcast. Remember, change only happens when people speak up. So speak up, speak loud, and be heard. I wanted to make sure to ask you, you once told me an unfortunate story about you after the Postman, I think, with He Who Shall Not Be Named,
Yes.
which I sort of went back and forth about whether I should ask you about it, even though I know you're fine to talk about it. But then I thought, you know what? This is kind of like a crappy business sometimes. And I think when people hear about people who have been through tough stuff and survived it, it helps on some level. Is that something you want to share?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not. It's a very difficult issue because it involves feminist politics, Me Too, victims, people who are victims of sexual assault, and the ones who got away. And I am one of the ones who got away. I was asked by quite a few people why I didn't speak up at the time, which is very obvious now, but I will explain why in a minute, and why I didn't speak up when he was exposed. So what happened to me was exactly what happened verbatim to so many others who spoke out. I was invited to an awards event, and as with these things, it's never quite clear who's invited you.
Oh, I see. Yeah. It just shows up.
Yeah, they're an invitation. Do you want to go? And I said yes, and you're in a time. It was a good time in my career. Things were going well. I just made a movie with not actually with Miramax, but with the brothers company. The
Weinstein Company.
Below, yeah. And the movie was called Below. And I went along, the car collected me, took me to the dinner. And it was a lovely dinner of interesting people at a table at an award ceremony. And at the end, the person I was next to said, we're all going back to the Savoy for drinks. Do you want to come? And so the car I'd been in to the event took me to the Savoy, and I went up to the party.
And this is like the dream, right? This is like, oh, I've arrived.
Yeah. Well, and I'd been around the block a couple of times. I'm in my 30s by this point.
Yeah.
I'm not. The party was in a suite, so it was a room, not a bedroom, and there were lots of people there. And it turned out that the table had been the Miramax table.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And I had a lot of free champagne, love a freebie, as you know. And within 20 minutes or so of my arriving in this suite, everybody else left, and I was left alone, and there it was just me and Harvey.
And did you sort of realize that people were trickling out, or it just suddenly occurred to you, like, wait?
I was like, we were sitting and we were chatting. He is a fascinating man, a great anecdotalist, a arguably great filmmaker, whatever you want to say. He had some great stories.
Yes.
And the story he was telling me was about making The Godfather, whichever one it was, and the mafia threatening to burn down the set.
Yeah.
And I love all. I mean, this
Sure.
is like
Who
pure.
wouldn't listen to
it was
that?
like real life Godfather.
Yeah.
And the people he named, and then halfway through a story, he starts moving his head around and kind of he goes, my neck's really stiff. I think I'm just gonna go and change into something more comfortable. And he comes back into the room in a dressing gown and sits down and starts chatting about people. And then we got from that, and actually me talking about my mother, who is a criminal barrister.
Yeah.
And we talked about that for a bit. And then he's like, it was a sort of trench warfare of what he wanted me to do, and he telling me of other women who'd done it, naming names, and how do you think so and so got their Oscar? And the Oscar for a blowjob was an absolute on the table offer.
God.
And I said, I am looking for a job, Harvey, but not that sort of job. And I'm going to be going now. And there was a bit of a sort of kerfuffle towards the door. But I got out of the door and got down to the car that was still waiting. And I fell into the back of the car and said, you are not going to believe what just happened to me. And the driver said, I know exactly what's just happened to you.
Oh, I didn't know. That's even almost more horrible than that's so. It's one of those things that like these things don't happen on their own. Like, oh.
And then we cut to a year later.
Wait, just out of curiosity, was the driver like sorry? Or was it just matter of fact?
You know
You
what?
probably don't remember. Yeah, never mind.
No, I understand that. I understand. I wish I could remember. He just said, I know exactly what happened to you, and he drove me home.
I'm sure he was matter of fact about it because it probably is the only way you can live with that. But
start as a
Lord.
person putting it together. It's like this began at 6:00 this evening when the car
No,
came
it was
to
all
pick me.
orchestrated, right? Yeah, 100%. Oh,
And I would think that was self-regarding, and why would he? Until you hear that every other verbatim account in the newspaper was the same as what happened to me.
Oh.
And then a couple of year later, or around the same time, I'm at Sundance Film Festival. My agent says, very exciting, there's this amazing script. Meeting at another hotel somewhere else at the festival. And I turn up to meet the director and the producer and a casting director, and I go up and knock on the suite door, and Harvey's already in the dressing gown and says, do you want to have this meeting in the hot tub?
Oh my God.
And he had clearly had no recollection of our previous encounter at all.
Interesting.
And I said, we've been through this, Harvey.
I can tell you how this ends.
But I won't accept that.
Jeez.
But, I was hanging out with other people who work for Miramax, and I'm getting to why I didn't say anything, because I was offered a ride back to LA the next day in the Miramax jet, and I took it. Mm-hmm. So knowing what Harvey was like, knowing that he'd set me up twice, I still accepted the ride back, and I still sent him, dear Harvey, having chased me around 2 hotel rooms on 2 continents, would you be interested in this story I have for making into a movie? So my feeling was, although I felt if I said what had happened to me, that it would weaken the experiences of people who were sexually assaulted by Harvey Weinstein. And I'm not sure of my own position. I still need, in some way, my own mind to be programmed from thinking that I was in some way responsible for what happened.
Which, of course, you weren't at all. But
anybody would say if he tried to get you in the hot tub for the second time, and then you went on the jet the next day, whatever happens to you is your fault. The fact was the jet was packed, and
of course, obviously. I mean,
but
I assumed.
I had turned up on the jet and it was Harvey on his own, and whatever happened.
No, but look, that's obviously something you struggle with. But I don't think anybody who hasn't been in that position can make that determination.
No,
that's
and my
you
mum's
deal with things
point,
the way you deal
who
with
is
things.
the legal expert on this, he says the analogy she uses is brilliant. Imagine you have a bicycle, and you ride your bicycle to a shop, and you don't have a lock for your bicycle, so you leave the bicycle outside unlocked. Now, that's a stupid thing to do, but it's not illegal. If somebody walks off with that bicycle, they are still a thief. You're stupid for not locking it, but the person who takes away the bicycle that isn't theirs is still a thief.
Of course.
And if I am wearing a very short skirt and I'm very drunk and I go into a man's hotel room, my bicycle is unlocked. But if you take that bicycle, you're still a thief.
Still a thief, yeah.
If you rape that woman, you're still a rapist.
Absolutely, yeah.
So that is my feelings on the matter.
After this happened in LA, did you go to your agent and go, what do I do? Or did you go to anybody? I did.
I did. And I my nature, you know me, I turn trauma into comedy.
Okay.
That's how I deal with it. I told the story to many people. I was not discreet.
Yeah.
And, you know, I've been chased around sofas. And there was an element, there was a appalling sexist comedian called Benny Hill in Britain in the 70s. And there wasn't, in the first encounter in the Savoy, there was a sort of Benny Hill.
Like the fast, the speeded up.
Go, yeah. We were going round and round the sofa.
That's funny and horrible at the same time.
You know, him saying, you know, a blowjob for an Oscar, and me going, I don't want
Good
an Oscar.
Lord. But was the basic response, if was it sort of, if you want a career, don't do anything?
It was taken seriously, and I'm sorry that happened to you, but anecdotal evidence of one of the women who was very brave and spoke out. Her experience was known about, and he did the, you know, you'll never work again thing, and she didn't. And she's not an actress now.
Well, I just want to say I thank you for sharing that, because I think it's important for people to hear. It sounds like hearing from you talk about it right now, there's no absolute, like, this is what I should have done, or this is what, it's too much.
The one thing I've really learned since even Me Too, which is now 10 years ago.
Which is amazing.
Everyone is groomed. Everyone is groomed by a groomer. And all those people in the room were groomed.
Sure.
And this thing, it's almost, I'm getting very political now, but it's like people blaming Kamala for losing the election.
Don't even start
it. The people who are to blame are the people who put the X next to Trump.
That's exactly right.
The person who is to blame for the rape is the rapist.
Yes. No, it's an absolute astute.
Do not take away from an encounter like the one I had in any form that you have done anything that led to that behaviour, anything reprehensible. The person who has committed the crime is the rapist or the person who has committed assault. And you are entitled to look back on something and realise that you were groomed. And grooming can take years, or it can take an evening, or it can take months, but you can be led to believe something is one thing and discover it's something else. But as I said, I had to deprogram my own brain, and I'm a staunch feminist with a feminist mother, you know, who took me through all this step by step, but still I felt in some way accountable for what happened to me.
When you first read the script for The Sixth Sense, did it just blow you away?
I didn't understand it.
You didn't? Oh, but that's always my question to people, because sometimes I think the movie's incredible. I don't know how this would read. Or sometimes I think it'll read, but you'll read it and go, this is never going to work.
Well, the legendary story of the this is never going to work, which I'm prepared to go on the record for now.
Okay, here we go.
Is that while I was shooting Rushmore, I was sent 2 scripts. One of which was The Matrix, for which I said, I have no idea what's going on. I don't understand. This will never work. Carry on, Moss, you're welcome. And the other one was The Mummy. And I was like, this is absurd.
Wow.
Rachel Weisz, you're welcome.
Well, there you go. But you were doing other great things. And so, I mean, was that a great experience working with him?
Yeah. I mean, he
sounds
both
like a dream.
Wes.
And Wes, of course,
and M. Night. I mean, I was in the bizarre experience of being 29 and being older than both of them. You know?
Oh, that's right. Oh, yeah, because they were pretty young back then.
Yeah, and, you know, Wes had made Bottle Rocket, and M. Night had made a film, I can't remember the title of, but this script was just like gold dust. It had been fought over by every studio, and he had Bruce Willis, who was just such an inconceivably vast star at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I went Kevin Costner, Bill Murray.
That's what I'm trying to get my head around. Is like you went from like literally
Yeah.
nothing to this like top of the.
Just surreal.
That's incredible.
It was a very surreal time, and I enjoyed it. But I can also see at the same time how people end up dying in a pool of their own vomit, outside the Viper rooms. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a very heady, and I'm very glad I was 29 and not
younger.
18
Yeah,
or
yeah.
16.
Yeah.
And all the way through my career, in Peter Pan, I was in the live action Peter Pan and had 14 children, because all the Lost Boys ended up being my children, and in The Sixth Sense, working with the amazing Haley Joel Osment, and seeing how kids negotiate their way through Hollywood. It's a very, very, very tough thing to be part of, because you're in some way complicit as an actor playing their parent. So I've always taken that responsibility very seriously.
And I've seen that personally, and I've respected that about you. But it's interesting to hear all of this, because when we first met in Manhattan, I was like, oh, she's another act. I mean, you don't think or whatever. And then eventually you IMDb and you look and you're like, holy crap, that's a lot of. But you, to meet you, you don't have the personality of someone who's been put up on a pedestal for those kind of things and made a big deal out of it.
Let's be clear. When you've got one actor taking 20 million, there's not a lot left over for the leading lead.
but you're still but
what I mean is that I think I got this rich seam, and it kept going. I mean, Andy Garcia, I kept on having these heavy hitters, and I think I got known as someone who, like, when I was hit a sort of Nadal serve, I could get it back over the net.
Yeah, exactly.
Not with any style necessarily, but I could get it back over the net.
Yeah.
Cheap, effective, turns up, comes out the trailer,
doesn't hit the furniture.
Yeah, and it was frustrating when other actors that I got roles that I wanted, but I did get this seam of playing opposite. I mean, astonishing actors. Okay, so I was in a film called The Man from Elysian Fields. Oh, yeah. I was married to James Coburn and shagging Andy Garcia in the plot. It's like, I mean, this brings tears to my eyes. My dad, he used to get my sister and me, we'd have to get out of bed and go down and watch The Magnificent Seven. It was like, he said, there is this film, you have to see it. And
when it was on TV.
I was married to him. I was playing
that's amazing.
one of his last movies, so I was just pinching myself, really.
That's incredible, though. I mean, did you sort of feel like you were just stumbling from one thing to the other, or did you feel like you were working for it? I mean,
well, I
to hear it sounds like it's just sort of happening, right?
Well, that's how it does happen in Hollywood. I mean, I guess so. Bizarrely make stupid choices sometimes, like The Matrix and The Mummy, and some things that I said no to, but you're never really exercising choice as we know it. You get a script. I was up for Snakes on a Plane. I didn't get it. I lost out to Juliana Margulies. No. That's one of the great regrets of my career. I really gave a good audition. You had to pretend you were on the speaker, on the loudspeaker on the plane. Yeah. Making, and saying, there's a man here, with who's been bitten by one of the snakes, but we're trying to keep it under wraps. So I'm just sort of
you're
saying,
the stewardess.
I'm the stewardess.
Okay, yeah.
And so I have to go, is there a doctor on the plane? And a man stands up, and I think he's the doctor, and then I had to act seeing snakes coming out of his eyeballs. Oh, jeez. And this is, again, in one of these weird cottages on a lot, with a casting director saying, and now the snakes are coming out of his eyeballs.
Oh, my God.
And it's just not real life. It's not life as we know
No,
it, David.
no, it isn't. Does that tape exist somewhere?
What was her? I'm sure. Well, it's if VHS has survived this long, I mean, it will be on a tape, a physical.
It's got to be somewhere. If anybody out there has this, I want to see it. That's fantastic. So
it was the same casting director as the Postman. I can't remember her name, but anyway. Yeah.
You and I met on Manhattan.
Yes.
Which now is the part of the podcast which happens in every single podcast where I explain that everybody should see Manhattan because it's one of the best shows ever created that nobody has ever seen.
It was so beautiful. It was so beautifully written.
It really was. It was amazing.
Made.
I remember reading the pilot for that. Well, it was the first two. Remember, we did the first two episodes as like one movie almost. I remember reading those and going, "This is just unbelievable." And then finding out, like, well, I didn't know who a lot of the cast were. I mean, like. There were a lot of people who are now names and whatever.
David Harbour was an author.
Yeah, that's right. I just worked with him on Stranger Things, and it was funny because he looked at me and he was like, and I went Manhattan, and he goes, "Oh, that's it."
But it's a great performance. That storyline,
it's incredible,
is brilliant.
I mean, everybody in that show was incredible. Is that the kind of thing where you read it and you're just like, I have to do this because of how well it's written, or?
Again, I wish it was. I wish it was like that, but
by
this
romanticizing
stage,
everything.
Well, by this stage, I'm married with kids. I'm living in London, and the script comes through, and they want me to go and live in Santa Fe, and I was annoying, and I was going, if you're gonna take me out there, it's so awful, but everyone else has to deal with it in their lives. But there is the creative self that reads a script and falls in love, and you say to your agent yes, and then there's business affairs. And David, they will say anything to undermine you, to belittle you, so that they can pay you less.
Yeah.
And it got to the point with Manhattan, as with on every show, where I rang the beautiful and delightful Tommy Shalami and Sam Shaw, and I said,
phenomenal people.
From what you say to me, you want me to do this job, and you like me, and you think I'm a good actor. And you chose me, allegedly. And one of your writers says, as was said on this, we wrote this part with you in mind.
Oh, I didn't know that. Makes sense.
And then there's business affairs.
Yeah.
Who say to me, the last movie you made lost money. You haven't been in a viable movie, what they consider a viable movie, which is a movie that makes money since whatever. I don't know, maybe it was The Sixth Sense. And I go, well, what about The Sixth Sense? One of the top grossing movies ever.
Yeah, but that was...
That's more than 3 years ago, so it doesn't
exactly.
count. I see. Okay. So this scale goes back to zero.
That's
every
exactly
3 years.
Right. Yeah.
So I'm afraid, it's awful to say it, but you arrive on a job battle scarred.
Well, because it's good cop, bad cop, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
and your
which
confidence
is
is in your boots, and they've told you that you're too old or they're not paying you because your last movie was shit, and you did the last movie for no money because it was a good script.
Yeah.
And which then your cachet goes, down into the cellar, and you can't get it back out again.
Wow.
So every time you do a job because you think it's good, an independent movie for no money, it sets your quote back to zero.
Oh,
basically.
God, I see. These are things I don't think about.
Yeah,
which is
so I wish we could all live in a beautiful bubble of creative joy. But, and, I didn't know a lot about New Mexico. People told me Santa Fe was lovely. Now, of course, as it says on all the license plates on the cars, the
enchanted state, enchantment state.
Yes,
like
but there's something about once you go to New Mexico, you always have to come back. And I was like, yeah, right. No, you do.
It's fantastic.
Astonishing and beautiful and otherworldly. And I had the most phenomenal time there with you and John Benjamin Hickey and Tommy Shalami and Sam Shaw and Leela Bayok and Michael Chernus, who I was talking about the other day, to the lovely Michael who we're working on this show with. So, Katya and
it's incredible. Like, it was such an incredible cast. And here's where I'll share my story. And because you know this, of course, but most people don't. One of my favorite things about you is that among many, is that we kind of met. And I didn't really, like I said, I didn't know who you were, and I didn't know who John Ben Hickey was. I was like, who's this? But he was fantastic, and every actor on that show was just like, I just watched. It reminded me of The West Wing, actually, because The West Wing, I would be behind the camera, and sometimes I'd go, I can't believe I get to like sit here and watch, John Spencer like just chew up a scene. I mean, just and all these amazing actors. And Manhattan was very much like that. Ironically, both Tommy Shalhoub's shows, so there's something there. I mean, he knows how to cast, that's for sure. But I remember very well that I got this little Adobe house, and I woke up in the middle of the night, the first night I was there, and I smashed my head on the the door to the bathroom, and I came in the next morning, and I must have looked like crap. And you said something to the effect of, "You look like crap." And I mentioned it to you, and you said, "What are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I got to move, I guess." And you, I think your family had just been there. Is that right?
Yeah. So I had done what I always do, which is get a house big enough for my family to be able to visit.
And it was right off of what's the big road? What the big art road?
Way downtown. It was a beautiful house, vast, hugely expensive, beyond my budget. And the family had just left for their one visit in 6 months or whatever. So I had about 3 spare bedrooms and a garden.
Yeah. And so you said, why don't you just rent one? And I said, great. And I remember very specifically, you said, you have to call your wife and explain all this. And I said, I will. And she's fine. And we had a great time. And I remember there was one point where we were driving off road, and you basically were like sliding out, and you explained to me how some stunt person had taught you how to drive or something like that.
Another of my extraordinary leading men in my... I mean, if this was a bedpost, the marks on it.
Yeah.
So it's not a bedpost because it was paid acting work. Yes. But another person who I starred opposite was Antonio Banderas.
Okay.
And we were in an extraordinary film, not necessarily for the right reasons. We called The Body, and we shot in Jerusalem.
Oh my gosh.
Just in 1999 for a brief few seconds when it looked. I'm almost tearful about it because it looked like the Palestinian Israelis, and
there would be peace.
There would be peace for a few. And we had an extraordinary actor on the show who now had to become a documentary maker of what's happening in Gaza, and I don't know if he survived. But anyway, we had Palestinian Israeli actors on the show who hadn't been able to work because of the problems in Israel. Anyway, shooting in Jerusalem, my character was an archaeologist. I had a 1968 Land Rover, and I was taught to drive it and do handbrake turns by the stunt team.
That's awesome.
The stunt team who had been on the Italian Job, the original.
I remember you telling me this. That's right. Yeah.
So I learnt some driving skills.
I remember we had to drive up some rock road to somewhere. I don't remember where we were going.
Exactly where we were going. We were going to visit the witch doctor.
We were going to visit yes, that's right. I forgot. Who lived in a it was like carved into the side of a mountain or something. House?
It was basically like he lived in a cave like Petra, and it's another story like in
that
Jordan.
Was incredible.
He lived in a house. The back of the house.
Gertie took us there. Yeah. Gertie, the amazing scenic artist.
Yeah.
That's right. And you said, "Hang on, I know how to do this."
You basically, when something starts going wrong on an unmade road, you have to put your foot down and drive faster.
But it was hysterical because I remember you going, "Hang on, I know how to take care of this." And I'm thinking, here's this very I was going to say quiet, but you're not really quiet, but you're sort of somewhat sedate English lovely woman, and she's busting around the countryside.
I have to tell you on that show, because on Manhattan all the cars were vintage, beautiful vintage, 30s and 40s cars, and there are very few actors who can double declapped, let me tell you.
Oh, wow.
So I got to drive John
They actually let
Benjamin
you drive
Hickey
them?
around.
Ah, that's great.
They always had Liza Winter, which is my character's name, in the driving seat.
Oh, is that why?
Yeah.
Because he couldn't do it.
Well, no, don't tell him that.
Well, he's also
he
he's
would
also
say
a
he's
New
very
Yorker,
good.
right?
Yeah,
So
he
there's
can
that
drive.
too.
He can
Yeah.
drive a stick shift. But I remember doing having to do a reverse hill start round a corner.
That's great. That's
and,
great.
I was the only actor who was allowed to reset the car
Yeah.
back to ones.
I love that. I could see that though.
Another anecdote I just wanted to bring out because about the way actresses relate to Steadicam operators, as that is what you are and that's what this is about.
Yeah.
But I remember one very specific scene that Tommy Shalami was directing, and
Yeah.
it was a very early scene of my character going through a market and coming out of the building and looking in. The camera was looking into the baskets of vegetables that I was buying.
Oh, I
and you
sort of
were-
remember this. This
were-
was in the pilot, right?
I think so,
Probably,
yeah.
yeah,
So it was
okay.
very early days.
All right.
And we were all finding our feet with each other. And Tommy was still slightly of the school with me of, don't let the actress watch the monitor. I want to get her natural response.
Yeah,
So, saying just wander around the market and pick up things as you would
That's right.
normally.
And I just sort of like followed you around.
And then he got very frustrated because I wandered around the market as I would normally, as instructed, and it was impossible to catch what I
Yeah.
was doing. And I kept saying, just let me see what it is that you want, and then I will give it to
Yes.
you. And he was like, no, just,
jeez.
the school of naturalism, and, as if I haven't been in the business for 30 years. And I said to you, naughtily, out of the director's earshot, just show me. And we walked together with me watching the monitor and you going in and out of the basket.
And me showing you on the monitor like how your hand went in the
it's
bag
like-
or whatever.
And then we
I sort of
action,
vaguely
and
remember
then
this.
it was like a dance.
And then you were like, yeah, there's a dance
and
partner.
we got and Tommy did that thing. You see,
Well, but that's what you have to do is then you go, you were absolutely right. We have no idea what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're a genius.
Absolutely.
Tommy,
And
if you're listening,
but
we do that all the time to you.
that is when I knew that you and I were going to get along just fine. And you would work with me and just tip over the eyepiece so I could see the frame, which was respectful. Not that I would have done anything differently if I couldn't see it,
No.
but to allow me to use my experience
Yeah.
and my expertise in conjunction with yours, and we can help each other out.
But it's a funny thing that you said that because I have a thing, and I'm sure I did this with you, although you may not remember it, where when I meet new actors, I always ask them, what do you want to be called? Because some people don't want to be called their name or whatever. And do they want to know frame sizes? And some people absolutely are like, I want to know nothing. And some people are like, I want to know everything. And I always figure, I just want to give you whatever it is you need to do your job better, just like I would want someone to do the same for me.
Yeah, and
Right?
but it's very frustrating as an actor because on my very first big movie, The Postman, the most miserable day I had on that was I had Kevin Costner. It was a Friday before a long weekend. Everybody wanted to go home, and I was meant to be the classic shot of cutting the fabric away from a bloodied wound.
Okay.
So my hands were sticky with fake blood. The scissors they gave me were sort of antique post-apocalyptic scissors that were blunt and didn't cut fabric. And there's Kevin Costner lying, I think he's already got his party cowboy boots on, but the only bit of him that's visible to the camera is covered in blood.
It's covered in blood, okay.
And I
Yeah.
cannot
Cut it.
cut the fabric with the scissors I've been given in the conditions I've been given and keep it within the frame.
Yeah.
And everyone thought I was an idiot.
Oh.
And if someone had let me see the frame,
You can do it.
I can do it.
Yeah.
And I could feel the temperature rising, and it was the only time I think I've actually wept with frustration on set.
that's terrible.
It was awful because you, to someone looking at it on the monitor in 2 dimensions, it seems blindingly
They're like,
obvious
how
what you have to
stupid
do.
can you be?
Yeah.
Whatever.
And I really wanted to say, You fucking
Yeah.
do it.
But-
You have a go at cutting this fabric with these scissors, with these sticky,
Yeah.
bloody hands within this frame.
Yeah, you want actors to be natural in space, but when it's like that minute and specific of a thing, it's just like, no, we need you to do exactly this, and if we do it quickly, we can all move on. And I
Yes.
think most actors want to do that.
As you say, that was in the fruit stall Steadicam shot that
Yeah.
made me know that we were going to get along
I'm going to
just
have to
fine.
go and look at that again now.
Yeah.
I vaguely remember it, but it's been a while.
It's etched on my memory as like this is going to be great.
So as an actress, like, what's your relationship with what? I mean, I know what your relationship with me is, but what's your relationship with operators? Like, what do you look for in operators?
I learned very early on Steve Wyndon on the Postman.
Could have been.
Brilliant Australian DP. But I learned very early on that as an actor on stage relates to the audience, that my relationship has to be with the other actor and with the lens, and the person who is in charge of the lens is the camera operator. And I know we joked about Amy Weinstein and me standing in for myself, but as you know, I like to stand in for
I
myself.
know you do, and I appreciate that.
And that's partly because I like to be part of the crew around the camera, but it's also hugely selfish. You know, it's like the only way that this performance is going to communicate is via you, David. And again, it's what I learned from Kevin, is that if the lens doesn't see it, then you're wasting
What's
your time.
the point? Yeah.
And there are some people who live their lives and also work in a state of conflict, and who can only feel alive or energized or energetic if they are in a state of conflict. And I am the other person. I cannot work if I feel there's a state of conflict.
That's pretty accurate, actually.
So I have to go around each person and make sure everyone's... Because
Yes.
if I feel that there's some side-eye going on, even if it's not me, even if it's between other people, I can't bear it. Conflict, I can't bear it. So that's partly by... But I like to be on good terms. I don't find it helps. Some people find they have to have a clear eye line. Some people don't want to believe there is a crew there. But that's just simply not how I work. And, and I don't judge anybody who works differently. But I like when I was doing the Polanski film, The Ghost, as it was originally called, or The Ghost Writer, and he had a wonderful focus puller who was Polish, and he looked a bit like John Demianiuk, who was
Oh, geez.
he literally
the
was
Nazi
one
guard.
of the exactly one of the people who were on trial at the time, and the way I don't understand about lenses, but all I know is that the lens was incredibly close in that's the way that's the way Polanski works, and sometimes almost sort of the matte box sort of pressing against my
gosh.
forehead, you know, really strange way of working. And John Demianiuk was in his very thick glasses, which for a focus puller was worrying.
Because back then they were right next to the camera.
Twiddling his knobs,
Yeah.
and he very thick glasses, and just before every take, I can't do this for you because this is podcast, but he would look at me and he'd give me a big wink. just before, just on rolling, but just before action. I get a little wink. And
Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
to me, it was delightful.
Oh, okay.
It meant that he
There's
and
a
I made a
connection.
connection.
Yeah.
But another actor would have had him
No.
removed. I mean, you can't on a Polanski set. You know, this guy had been working with Polanski
Yeah, but
for
still.
years. But so that to me, that was a good thing.
Yeah.
And so my relationship with the camera and with the camera operator is incredibly important, and I like to try and establish it when I first come on set. So, but some people never do say hello, my name is, or
Yeah, look, everybody's different, but what I'm wondering is like, what are you aware of us there when you're acting? I mean, maybe that's a silly question, or are you assuming that we're doing what we need to do and you're going to do what you do?
just don't know how to describe it. I think once it gets to action, I just go
go into
somewhere
a- yeah.
else. But it's a bit like a hypnotic state because you're still aware, but I think we discussed this the other day that I realise now, having talked to you about it, that there are sort of two performances. There's the one when it's
Oh yeah.
when the camera's on you,
Mm-hmm.
and then there is the performance you give for the other person when you really are part of the camera team. You know,
When you're off camera.
when you're
Yeah.
off camera doing the reverse, and you have to keep your eye line as close as you can to draw the other actor's eye line close to the camera, but also not elbow the focus puller
Yeah.
or the.
Yeah.
I mean, focus pullers are half a mile away now, but in the old days they were
Yeah.
there. And there's the dolly grip and the camera operator, and then the dolly, which is like some sort of machine covered in things to trip actors
A
up,
small
or
car, yeah.
yes, or ram your
Yeah.
ankles. So yeah, and I love that bit. I love being part of the team that is making the other actor's performance as good as it can be. And
You
that
mean you love that bit when you're off camera?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, interesting.
yeah, I like to acquire skills and to know what everybody is trying to achieve. I think it's fascinating. And I knew when I started, I knew the interstices of theatre and stage and what you have to do and how to make something look like something else, but I didn't know any of it. And I often describe it as sort of sushi to Christmas dinner. Like theatre is Christmas dinner. It's like there's plates everywhere and there's all sorts of food and there are 20 glasses and everyone eats and drinks and makes a noise, and then you all go home. And then filming is one beautiful piece of sushi.
Wow, I like that.
A day. Like you act for 4 minutes a day.
Yeah.
Like in theatre, you act for 3.5 hours a
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
4 minutes.
Yeah.
And those 4 minutes have to taste so good.
That's great. I love that. That's fantastic.
So and I love it when, and that, because I don't get the euphoria of a round of applause, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to find your euphoria in other ways.
Now, like when you've done a scene, do you get feedback, visual feedback or whatever off the crew to feel how it's gone? Like, are you...
I remember I got in a car, I was on The Sixth Sense, and again, I'd spent a lot of time waiting around in a hotel room, and I got into the car with the driver, and he said to me, "Are you high? What are you... like you're grinning and smiling and laughing to yourself?" And I was like, "I've just spent a day acting. I'm just
on the way home, you're saying?
Very, very happy."
Oh, that's so great.
Very happy right
That's
now.
fantastic.
Yeah.
You know what? Because you just mentioned it, I do want to ask you this. I mean, was that a just completely bizarre experience to be playing that character who's interacting but not interacting
In
The Sixth Sense? Because of the nature of
once they'd explained it to me, yes. Yeah, no, that was really fun. That was really interesting. And again, I pride myself. I can put this in. So in the scene in the restaurant where
yes, when he says, "I'm sorry, I'm late" or something, right?
Exactly.
And it's her birthday or it's someone's
their
birthday.
anniversary.
Yes, anniversary. Yeah.
And she was silent throughout the scene.
Yeah.
And just got up and left.
Yeah.
And I put in, and I asked permission of Night, but in the original script, she says nothing. And I said, "Can I say happy anniversary?" As if you would say it to yourself if you'd just gone and had dinner on your own to celebrate your anniversary after your husband's died.
Yes, yeah.
And you would go, "Happy anniversary."
This is what I would have heard almost, or whatever.
Yeah, or that was sort of almost sad.
Oh, how great! Yeah.
/ mournful, sarcastic.
Yeah. No, I
remark.
remember. Yeah.
And or it could be read as saying it to him as a fuck you. It made the cut.
No, and now that you mention it, I remember. But were there times in that where you did, just because you're a human being, react and that you had to do another take? I mean, was there stuff where you fumble?
No, I don't remember that. I don't remember that happening. But, there was some takes I was playing to a piece of sticky tape.
So, all right, let's bring that up. How do you do that? Because I always feel badly when we have to do that and go, can we? I give you a piece of tape inside the mat box, and I always feel. I mean, we have to, but
sometimes it's very sad that you can't use the other actor. Sometimes it's an advantage.
It's an advantage.
I'm not going to name names, but yeah. Again, it's that hypnotic state where you're just
you're just going into where you have to go
to where you go.
Yeah.
It's one of the things I think I'm good at, and then I quite often, I think I did on the shot we did, I forgot to do the mat box and went for the actor.
I don't know how you even do as much as you do without looking at the person who's also there.
Yeah.
What is acting?
I think it's really important to go back to the word play. We play a role, and playing is what kids do with a bat and a ball, but it's also a play. It's called a play. And you can be as serious as you want or as flippant as you want. To me, if you are laughing, you are emotionally available to laugh or cry.
Oh, that's interesting.
And I think the element of play is really important. And when you have an actor who will play with you, it's like there are two ways of playing tennis. Like you can play tennis to, defeat the other person.
Win, yeah.
Or you can play tennis to see how many times, this is how I play tennis.
To have fun.
To get the ball over the net.
Yeah.
How many times?
Or hit the net.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's me. Yeah.
How many times can you get it back to the other person? I play sort of reverse psychology tennis.
I like it.
And to me, acting, even on your own, you're playing a sort of game of tennis with the audience. This is why I feel about the relationship with lovely Steadicam operators like yourself. We've got a game of tennis going.
100%, yeah.
Trying to get the ball back over the net to the other person.
Yeah.
And acting with another person is that as well. It's like I hit the ball to you in a way, with an upward inflection, and then you might hit the ball to me with a nice lob to the back, and I have to run a bit, but I can make it, and then I can slice it back to you, and we can have a beautiful game. Play, game.
That's
These
great.
are words
I like
that are important.
Have you worked with an operator who was not a good operator, who like you had problems with because of what they were doing? You don't have to name them, but I'm just wondering.
Yeah, no.
Sort of the thing of like for younger operators, this is what you don't want to do with actors. Do you know?
Actually, the worst thing I've seen, which is incredibly depressing, were another generation, and so not anybody that we know, who were insubordinate to the director. And when that director is a woman or a person of color, that is incredibly hard.
Meaning just suddenly you lose respect for them because of that.
Yeah, I just can't bear to what when I've heard the director say, and then can you go in or can you pan across, and you get to the end of the shot and they don't.
They just didn't listen. Yeah.
They don't. No.
Yeah.
Insubordination. I'm talking disobey.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
Disobey.
Yes. And purposely not doing what you've been told. Yes.
And you do not pan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
For anybody who doesn't know, Olivia's not a person who keeps her mouth quiet when she feels that there's an injustice happening. It's sort of, in many ways, it's sort of like having your mom on set a little bit.
Thanks.
No, in a very good
that's
way.
sexy.
Because you have a very nurturing, you care about people, and that's one of the reasons why we're friends. I mean, it's just because, and I've seen that in you. And like for good camera operators that you've worked with, what are the things that what do they do for you that, besides obviously not making you do extra takes because they've
Well,
done
I
their
think
job?
it's including me in the process, but I think I offer up standing on my mark.
That's unbelievable.
And so when a camera operator realizes that I'm serious about that I'm not going to get bored and then wander off, they will include me in the process of what they're doing. So on the Sixth Sense, Tak Fujimoto.
Amazing.
Right. Not a chatty guy, not got a lot of time for actors. I was definitely a surface off which light bounced. But he told me, I need you to be here for this. And it was the iconic opening scene with the light bulb coming on. And my character is looking for a bottle of wine in the cellar, which is the night of the fateful, spoiler alert. And he, it was early on in my career, and he told me where to stand and what to do. And this was another occasion where I thought, I need to do what I'm told. And I need to make this shot work. And so something that's very hard is that because there are actors who cannot be told what to do or where to stand, or are highly sensitive and highly nervous. And so what sometimes happens is there's something physical, like I've got very, 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 very fine hair. I know this sounds like a weird beginning, but in some lights you can see right through my hair to my scalp. And it's the sort of thing that a camera operator will notice. And they've been told that they need to tell an AD, and then the AD tells makeup, and then makeup comes to me and they'll say, we just need to go off. And no one will say, we can see your scalp through your hair. I would just wish, but I am not.
But that's
don't
you.
Suffer. That's me. I'm very practical. I have no vanity. I'm aware that you can see my scalp through my hair. So somebody just come and say it, and we can fix it.
Let's fix this and move on. But
so I feel so sorry for you guys, because you don't know what you've got and how to, if you want to communicate. So I don't know how you do it. I
think a tremendous amount of it, and I know you do it as an actor when you show up on a set as well. Is the minute you get in there, you start reading the room and you start going, okay, I see how that person works and I see what that person needs, and I think we all do it from our own. You figure out what the director wants and what the director doesn't want, and all that stuff. And the moment that I get on set, that's what I'm doing, especially with the actors. And that's my thing as an operator, is always weird, because like there are notes that I need to give actors, but I don't want to get into your head and I don't want to get into your performance. We were just talking about, how sometimes, especially with younger actors, you don't want to overwhelm them with things, but you also have to get things done.
And also as an actor, as a person, I'm a sort of pleaser. I want to please everybody, and sometimes the director or the DP or the camera operator want you to do something that looks so good on the frame but is so impossible sort of physically. And so uninstinctive. There are points at which, even though I want to please and make the shot work and so everyone could go home on time, you do have to say, actually, that I can't do that.
This doesn't work.
But I always try to do it as sort of helpfully as I can, without sounding. But again, I'm deeply aware that when you sort of say I can't do this or my character wouldn't do that, it just immediately sounds wanky. So I really have to sort of. But it takes a lot for me to go, I'm sorry that I just don't think I can make that work.
Yeah.
And the person who didn't give a toss about that was Polanski again. You know, I had to do something like put some incredibly important plot point prop sort of onto down on a bed with a pen and a pad of paper, and he was getting so funny. She goes, "No, you put it down like this," and he comes over and he does it for you, and you go, "Look, but you're a 5'2" Polish 86-year-old," and it's very hard if you at some point you actually have to stand up for your character and for the role and for
yourself,
the
right?
performance.
I mean, you know, and all that.
So that's when I call a halt, and that's where theatre is rehearsal. Then it becomes instinctive, and then you do it. And sometimes you do, and particularly with Steadicam, I genuinely believe it's like dancing.
Oh, there's no question about it. Yeah.
And the third or fourth take is suddenly you're tangoing, you know, with the same.
No, there's no question.
You're both
about
on the same foot. You're breathing the same breath, and one of the most sort of profound experiences I've had when I realised that Steadicam operators were my best friends in the world was I was making a show called Counterpart, and we were shooting in Berlin, and I had a lot of Steadicam work with amazing Steadicam operator called Carsten, and I was terribly, terribly ill, but nobody knew what was wrong with me, and I was days away from being diagnosed with a cancer in my pancreas. But I was in denial about it, and doctors thought I was crazy and malingering, both which I have written down on from different doctors. But he could see in my eyes one day when I was going to faint.
He knew that something was up, yeah.
And I realised that, you know, as you do, you know, that he was spending every, 18 hours a day looking into my very soul, which is a quote from Shakespeare, but, actually looking into my eyes and seeing how ill I was. And, you do form an extraordinary connection with someone who can work at that, who you work with at that level of intimacy.
Well, and you're 3 feet away from each other. If you're a big actor in the show all day long for weeks and weeks and months, there's no way that you can't. There are some actors I've worked with who have had absolutely no connection with because they've had no desire to, and all right, that's your thing. But it's not the work. I don't think the work is going to be as good when that happens.
No, it's acting such a strange. It's as varied as every human being on earth, for the experience. But I find, for me, that developing that kind of physical habitual understanding with someone, it can only be good.
Yeah. When it happens, it's amazing, which is one of the reasons I like you. But I don't like the fact that you're seeing other Steadicam operators.
I'm very sorry. I'm sorry that
should be in your contract.
That you wouldn't have wanted to be on that one.
That's fine.
I was not well, but it was just a moment when I realised that. That sometimes people know you better than you know yourself.
Yeah, well, because we're all in self-denial about certain things, and we've talked about that. So the other thing I want to ask you about is, because we've talked about this a lot, you have a family, and yet you travel, and you live this crazy carny lifestyle that we do. How do you make that work? Like, how do you?
The absolute bedrock is my husband, Rashan Stone, who is an actor and writer and musician. He's a sort of quintuple threat, but fortunately we don't have a lot of casting crossover, him being a 6'3" African American. So there are some really important factors for us. Is for some reason neither of us have the jealous gene, so he and I are not jealous of each other's careers, and we had children very quickly in our relationship, and we knew that we wanted one of us always to be with the kids. And so we said it is the absolute duty of the person who is away and working, because we both love our work, to enjoy the work and to, while you're away, to socialize with the people you're working with. That not to commit the other person to going back to the hotel, eating alone, not seeing anyone, not hanging out. And positively encourage the person who's not having to go to bed at 7 o'clock and get up at 4 a.m. or whatever with the kids and do the school run and go to the supermarket and change nappies, change diapers, as you would say. That the other person should be having the best time
That's
possible.
wonderful.
And it just really set us up, because I've worked with lots of actors who, while they were working, were rushing back to, with time differences, trying to Skype at weird times of the day or night to see the kids. And
or
if
just
they
feeling
weren't
guilty, right?
there, then there would be some horrible consequence of fear of something was going on, or if you missed a deadline or missed a call. And we have a completely exclusive relationship, but we don't have the jealous gene. I don't know how that happened, but we're just very lucky.
No, but I it's interesting that you said that, because there is that thing of like, sometimes when you're on location, you there's a tendency to feel badly about like, well, I am in Prague. And
I'm in Atlanta at the fourth hotel, with a beautiful swimming pool and a steam room, and
that actually alleviates a lot of that sort of feeling guilty about like, well, I'm staying in this nice hotel or whatever.
Yeah.
And it is.
And Rashan has had a good career, but at times, I've had long periods of work, and he writes as well. And so when I get back from a job where I've stayed in a beautiful hotel and been flown first class and had lovely meals out with dear people, he gets to go away for a bit, and it's not like, oh, you're going to go on holiday. It's like, you now
do something you want to do.
You go and do something you want to do in your own space, without the joyful accoutrements of family. Because and then we also have time together. I'm not saying it's been easy. It's not always. The theory is all very well, but those factors, the fact that he is an extremely good parent and in many ways a superior parent to me, and that from the minute our children were born, it was 50-50. It was like, you do one diaper change, I do the other. I breastfeed, you, I express milk, and you feed by the bottle. So there wasn't anything to do with parenting that he couldn't do. He could put the kids to bed, he could wake them up, he could dress them, he could wash them, he could take them to school.
Sure.
They would go to sleep when he told them to go to sleep. As I said, better at it than I am.
Well, but the point being that when you go away, it's not like suddenly he's going, oh God, how do I do all this or whatever.
There is a look I know of a woman, again, I get tearing up a bit, sitting in a makeup chair, looking at the mirror but not seeing herself, and that is the 10-mile stare of a woman who doesn't know who the fuck's looking after her kids.
Oh, wow.
Or she's left her kids with someone she doesn't trust. And I know it so well.
Really?
And occasionally it's been a man. I work with a man who, and I said, are you worrying about your kids? And he was like, do you know a nanny in London?
Oh my
we were
gosh. Wow.
I don't know where we were. We weren't in London.
Yeah.
And he was like, do you know someone who can collect my kid from school? And it's just an awful feeling. And because of Rashan, I've never had that feeling, because my
wonderful.
Kids have always been safe.
That's great. Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I could talk to you forever, but for the sake of everybody listening, I won't. I still will, but we just won't record it. This has really been wonderful. Thank you so much for all. There's so many nuggets in here, and It's just great. And to hear, like, I didn't actually know all those things about the early part of your career, which is really kind of fascinating. You've led a fascinating life.
Crazy.
I will leave you with the thing that I leave everybody, which is this. Advice for someone starting in the business now on how to succeed, or what you wish you knew back then that you now know.
Am I saying this to a young camera operator?
Not camera, anyone getting into the business, whatever you want.
I do feel that, our generation, the way we did things is so over now. It's so different. But I heard someone else say this, which is now with iPhones and access to camera making, is just, you may not get on a huge show or get a studio job, but be creative, make something. If you want to be an actor, get together with someone who wants to be a camera operator, and someone who wants to direct, and someone who wants to light, and someone who wants to do catering, and make something together. The thing that makes me I'm sort of emotionally moved by the fact that my daughter is learning to be a dancer, and a friend of hers, who is the son of a friend of the family who she grew up with, is studying to be a composer, and he has written some music for her to dance, to choreograph her final show to at college. And that is what we need. Then business affairs can fuck off, excuse my language, but you can be creative together, and whatever's going on with this crazy world, with politics, with money, with gender discrimination, with race discrimination, you and your friends can make a work of art together. So please go and make something together with the people you're around you who you love.
I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did. We'll be back soon with another great episode. Don't forget to check us out on theop.io for all sorts of information on operating and storytelling. So thanks for listening, and have a great day.